The morning sunlight spilled softly into the small house, brushing everything with a warm golden glow. Tusam woke first, as she always did, blinking slowly as she listened to the gentle breathing beside her. For a moment she stayed still, just long enough to gather herself before the day began. Then came the sound she waited for each morning, a soft whimper, followed by a curious little coo. Baby Anna, 8 months old and full of wonder, had opened her eyes. "Good morning, my love," Tusam whispered, her voice still sleepy but overflowing with tenderness. She leaned over the tiny crib beside her bed, brushing a strand of hair away from Anna's rounded cheeks. The baby kicked her legs, excited by nothing more than the new day and the familiar comfort of her mother's face. Moments later, the door creaked and Lee walked in. His hair was messy, his shirt wrinkled, and yet the smile on his face looked as bright as the sun outside. "You're awake before me again," he teased, stepping close, "and someone looks ready to conquer the whole world today." He lifted Anna into his arms, her tiny fingers grabbing onto the collar of his shirt as if she had been waiting only for him. Lee's expression softened into something only a father could wear. Pride, exhaustion, devotion, all tangled into one. Their mornings were always simple, but it was inside this simplicity that their happiness lived. While Tusam warmed Anna's morning porridge on the stove, Lee walked around the room bouncing the little girl gently, humming a tune he didn't even know the name of. Sometimes he pretended to be a plane, other times a sleepy bear. Whatever he did, Anna giggled, her laughter filling the small home like chimes in the wind. Yet in the midst of the calm, a subtle tension fluttered beneath the surface, quiet, almost unnoticeable. Lee watched Tusam with a seriousness that didn't quite fit the peaceful morning. She was smiling, but her eyes were tired. She moved gently, but her shoulders were heavy. He saw it all. He always did. And somewhere deep inside, a question formed, one he hadn't asked yet, one he feared the answer to. Is she okay? But before he could think further, Anna reached for her mother again, and the moment dissolved into soft laughter, warm breakfast, and the beginning of another day in their small, beautiful universe. Little did they know, the day ahead would not be as ordinary as they thought. Morning sunlight filtered softly through the thin curtains, casting golden stripes across the wooden floor. It was the kind of light that made everything feel slower, warmer, and strangely precious. Tusam stood in the kitchen, tying her hair into a loose bun, while listening to the soft rustling sounds coming from the bedroom. She didn't need to look to know what it meant. Little Anna was waking up. And so the second day began, not with an alarm, not with urgency, but with the gentle melody of an 8-month-old stretching her tiny limbs. "Sam, she's awake," Lee called, his voice still husky from sleep, but filled with that unmistakable tenderness he only used for their daughter. He lifted Anna carefully, holding her with the ease of someone who had memorized her weight, her warmth, her softness. Sam stepped into the room and her heart melted again, as if for the very first time. Lee stood by the window, bouncing Anna lightly, whispering something to her that only fathers whisper. Moments like this always caught Sam off guard. They were quiet, ordinary, yet they held a power deeper than any grand gesture. Breakfast became its usual dance, Sam preparing porridge while Lee tried to distract Anna, who insisted on grabbing everything within reach, including his father's nose, his shirt collar, and once even his hair. Her giggles echoed through the small house, soft but bright, making their home feel fuller than ever. But not every part of the day flowed so peacefully. Around noon, Anna became restless, the kind of restless that only babies understand, crying for reasons only they know, refusing milk, refusing toys, refusing even her father's silly faces that usually worked like magic. Sam's nerves tightened as she held Anna against her shoulder, rocking gently, whispering soothing words that slowly melted into sighs.
"Let me try," Sam said quietly. There was no frustration in his voice, only patience, the kind that Sam admired in him and sometimes desperately wished she could borrow. He held Anna close, walking slowly around the house, humming an old tune his mother used to sing. At first, Anna's cries grew louder, sharp and desperate, but then, little by little, her breathing softened, her fists loosened, and she pressed her cheek against his chest. "She just missed her dad," Lee whispered with a playful grin. Sam laughed, but her eyes glimmered. No matter how many times it happened, it always surprised her, the way Ali understood Anna as if they shared a secret language written in heartbeats. And then there were the quieter moments, the moments that felt almost unreal. In the late afternoon, while the sky turned orange and the world outside grew calm, Sam watched Lee sitting on the floor, teaching Anna how to stack wooden blocks. Of course, Anna didn't stack them. She knocked them over with a sense of triumph each time, clapping her tiny hands in delight. Lee pretended to be shocked every single time, making her laugh until she hiccuped. Sam leaned against the doorway, holding a cup of warm tea, her heart swelling with a mysterious sensation. A question, perhaps, a longing, or maybe just the quiet recognition that this life, this rhythm of soft chaos and tender pauses, was becoming something she couldn't imagine living without. And somewhere in that gentle moment, as father and daughter played under the golden light of sunset, Sam wondered, how long could such peace last, and what new surprises tomorrow might bring?
Evenings in Lee and Tusam's home were never truly quiet, only softer, gentler, filled with the tiny sounds that made their little world feel alive. As the sky shifted from peach to violet, the house slowly sank into a rhythm of its own. The rustle of soft blankets, the clink of warm baby bottles, and the faint humming of lullabies that Sam never dared sing too loudly. That night, like so many others yet somehow completely its own, began with Anna rubbing her sleepy eyes while refusing to sleep. She clung to Tusam's shirt with surprising strength for an 8-month-old, her tiny fingers curled like petals holding on to sunlight. Sam laughed softly, exhausted but glowing. "She wants you tonight," she whispered, as Anna stretched both arms toward Lee. Lee pretended to sigh dramatically, but his eyes softened the moment his daughter landed in his arms. "Again, I thought she loved you more," he teased. Anna responded with a drooly giggle and patting his cheeks, a silent announcement that the night shift officially belonged to him. The living room lights dimmed. The cool night breeze drifted through the open window, carrying the scent of rain somewhere far away. Lee began pacing slowly, rocking Anna against his chest. Tusam watched from the kitchen doorway, her arms crossed loosely, a smile tugging at her lips. She loved moments like this, quiet, ordinary, but filled with the warmth that made the rest of the world feel distant. But life, as always, never moved in a straight line. Just as Anna began drifting off, a sudden clap of thunder cracked across the sky. Anna startled, her small body shivering against Lee's. She whimpered, then burst into tears that felt too big for her tiny lungs. Lee instantly tightened his hold. Hey, it's okay. Baba's here, don't be scared." His voice dropped into a tender whisper, a tone he used only with her. Tusam rushed over, placing a gentle hand on Anna's back, her heart squeezing at the sight of her daughter trembling. The storm outside roared again, but inside, their little home, something stronger stirred, an unspoken unity. Together they swayed, together they whispered comfort, together they wrapped Anna in a world so safe she slowly relaxed again. By the time the rain softened into a quiet drizzle, Anna was asleep, tiny, peaceful, unaware of the storm that had just passed. Sam leaned her head on Lee's shoulder. "We did it," she murmured. Lee kissed the top of Anna's head, then Sam's. "No," he said softly. "We're doing it. Every day, together." And in that moment, rain outside, warmth inside, they realized that raising a child wasn't about grand moments at all. It was about nights like this, storms weathered side by side, 3 heartbeats learning the rhythm of love.
Morning sunlight spilled through the curtains like warm honey, touching the wooden floorboards of their small home. It was the kind of morning that felt unremarkable to the world, yet sacred to the 3 lives living inside it. Lee stretched his arms as he entered the living room, finding Sam curled on the couch with baby Anna asleep on her chest. It looked like a painting. Sam's tired smile, Anna's tiny fingers gripping her mother's shirt, and the soft glow of dawn surrounding them. He stood there quietly, afraid to break the moment. How something so simple could feel so perfect still amazed him. When Sam opened her eyes, half asleep and half dreaming, she whispered, "You're up early." Lee smiled. "I wanted to make breakfast, but then I saw this." Her cheeks warmed. She woke up at 4 a.m. Again. He laughed, brushing a hair from her face. "Our daughter inherited your stubbornness." Their morning unfolded like a gentle song, small, peaceful, but full of little surprises. Anna woke up with her usual squeal, kicking excitedly as Lee lifted her into his arms, spinning her just enough to make her giggle, but not enough to scare her. Sam watched them from the kitchen, heart melting at the sight of a father truly in love with his child. Yet, even in the warmth, worries crept in. Quiet, uninvited thoughts. Would Anna grow up healthy? Would they be able to give her a better life? Would their love stay strong through sleepless nights, future challenges, and the unknown years ahead? Sam didn't say it out loud, but Lee felt it anyway. He always felt her. So while she washed the small mountain of baby bottles, he stepped behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, and rested his chin on her shoulder. "Sam," he said softly, "you don't have to carry everything alone." Her hands slowed, her breath trembled. "You see through me too easily," she murmured, "only because I've learned to love every worry you try to hide." In the afternoon, they took Anna outside. She babbled at the chickens in the yard, pointed at butterflies, and clapped at falling leaves as if witnessing the world's greatest miracles. And maybe she was. To her tiny eyes, the world was magic. Sam held her daughter close, feeling the faint scent of milk and sunshine on her skin. Lee walked beside them, pushing the stroller with the quiet confidence of a man who had finally found his place in life. As the sky turned orange, the 3 of them sat together on the step of their small porch. Anna rested against Lee's chest, slowly drifting into sleep with the sound of their voices surrounding them. "What do you think she'll become one day?" Sam asked. "Anything she wants. But whatever she becomes, she'll always have us." It wasn't a dramatic ending. There were no fireworks, no grand declarations, just 2 parents, a sleeping baby, and an ordinary sunset. And yet, it felt like the beginning of something vast, something quietly extraordinary. Every day was tiring, every day was imperfect, but every day they chose each other, and that made their little world complete.